iRacing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson! Anderson's up top!
Oh my god! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
It's very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Yeah, so we're using the VRS Direct Force Pro this year. We have a wheel adapter right here, so I'm using the rim I used last year. But the motor right here produces a lot of power, a lot of precision, and it helps me, just feel the car more, feel the car a lot quicker. Especially, this week we're at Sonoma. I can feel it, when it hits the curbs. Any little change in the car, the wheel reacts a lot quicker than your typical gear-driven or belt-driven wheel. For example, if you're on oval and the rear tires break loose, force feedback on it corrects a lot quicker than your typical wheels. There's no resistance pretty much as far as being able to make quick corrections on the wheel. So all that, paired with how precise the wheel itself is, it makes it to where it helps you as a driver, to find that extra hundredth or thousandths of a second. So when you're getting a direct drive wheel, especially the VRS wheel, it's heavy duty. It's got good weight to it, it's not a plastic toy. Feels like you can really beat up on it. A lot of people have issues with their plastic gear-driven wheels just kind of breaking after a couple years. This thing just feels like it can go forever. The forces are really strong where if you might have to let go of the wheel if you get into the wall. You can adjust all that with the settings on it and stuff, but the wheel itself doesn't play around. It's got way more strength than you could ever need, and that's what makes it good, that you can adjust that down to whatever the car needs. So initially you'll be able to get the controller box and the motor together, and eventually you will be able to add a rim onto that option. They'll also be including a button plate on it to put on the rim to have all sorts of different buttons and functionality. Also, pedals are coming, so that's a pretty big deal as well. Hasn't been covered too much, but the goal is to also have pedals to go along with the Direct Force Pro. So that's pretty exciting. The wheel feels good. It feels very much like a real world steering wheel. You just kind of feel like what you would imagine the car to feel like. A real steering wheel in a car is very smooth, it's very direct, very quick, and that's what this wheel feels like.
Today is all about speed. Some would argue every day is about speed when it comes to a race. Some would say that every day is all about reaching the zenith of what you are able to produce, which is high speeds, high cornering, fast lap times, and overall speed the quickest. But this is a track where you are quicker than most. This is a street circuit that feels like a racetrack, which is not often that you get to say that. We're here at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Salut Gilles, we haven't been here in 2 years for Formula One. We still won't be here for 2021, but at least here with iRacing, we can still prove that this track is one of the best that we find out there in sim racing. Your iRacing Grand Prix Series, your 4th round of the championship, in full view here today. My name's Jake Sperry, Scott Fountain joining alongside for the ride, as it'll be a 47-lap affair, qualifying currently underway, 8 minutes, 2 laps to figure everything out. But why not have a look at where we are looking to try and battle to today? A wonderful circuit here, Fonty, and one right on the edges of the St. Lawrence River, this island they used, of course, for the rowing back in the Olympic Games, which kicks off in about a couple of weeks' time now, I'd say, at this point, over in Tokyo.
There we go. Hello, everybody. Yes, and welcome to another Saturday night of awesome high-speed action. Absolutely love this track, and it's been on the iRacing service for quite some time. And yeah, it's certainly a challenging one. We've seen some pretty interesting racing over the years at this track, and yeah, I reckon it'll turn on tonight.
Certainly will. Of course, who can't forget 07 and 08, the saga of Robert Kubica and a BMW Sauber, the greatest race, some would say, in Formula One history, when Jenson Button managed to pass Sebastian Vettel on the final lap of the race. The Senna S, Lepangle, the hairpin, the Casino Straight, heading to 13 and 14. And let's not forget the Wall of Champions, that race, of course, once upon a time in 1999, which took out driver upon driver upon driver here in Montreal, Quebec. But this is all about qualifying now. The first lap time's about to come down in on the board. Track temp's pretty hot today, 39 degrees. It's on the borderline of hot and cold, and strategy is going to be very, very intense at this moment. But Fonty, you know, this is a high-speed circuit, but it's got a very technical opening to second sectors around this place they go through. We're focusing on the number one of Matt Wood, looking to finish off his second lap. He's currently in second position right now here, as he has the DRS wide open heading to that final braking zone.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Sperry. Matt Wood, he's been class of the field, really. Last week we saw him absolutely clean up everybody. And, yeah, this track will really prove his talent today, tonight, wherever you are in the world. That last corner, it's very difficult, and you can certainly overrun it and find yourself on the wall, the right side of the car. It's certainly going to get tuned up for some people tonight. Absolutely love this track, as you were saying earlier, Sperry. It doesn't really feel like a street circuit. It's certainly not as aggressive as some of the street circuits that we visit in iRacing. But yeah, certainly one that has seen some great racing in the past, and I'm sure tonight is going to bring some awesome racing.
Awesome racing is very much on the order of the day. Here is Adam Webb making his way through the Wall of Champions section, that final chicane, that blast over to the line, double DRS over that section. It's a 1:14.3 for Adam Webb, so couldn't quite find the time that he was maybe looking for there over the course of that lap. As times are starting to come in, Tamashane are looking to get one on the board, currently in 18th position right now. Tom Volstra moves up then to P number 3. Very intent then, that time from Tom, and he is now just a quarter of a second back of Diogo Oliveira, who's the fastest. Martinez trundles over the line in 4th position, is second in the championship right now, and has been very much a podium setter, but not necessarily someone who can take the wins away. Kent Nielsen, who we've been talking about, is having a very good season so far. Qualifying hasn't been as strong here today. He's about a second, 1.1 back. I'll tell you who's looking pretty quick in that talking machine. John Pat Kelly is looking for a pretty good run of things right now. Makes his way through the final section and looking to drive over towards the line. And John Pat Kelly puts only a 14.7 down. That's only good enough for 20th.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Sperry. And yeah, those two names, John Pat Kelly and Kent Nielsen, those guys regulars to the series and have been making their way up the order for quite some time now. We saw a great lot of race from Nielsen last week. A little bit of trouble for him in the race that we saw, but yeah, certainly John Pat Kelly is one man to watch. I think he's going to be happy with his pace at the moment, sitting P8. I reckon if he can sort of stay around that position and stay out of trouble, he'll be doing all right come the finish.
Yeah, come the finish could be ideal indeed, but that was Kleber Foley, who is out of laps. He's done a great qualifying lap. He's gone up into P5. Stefan Piotrowski just jumps up then into P7 as well. But John Pat Kelly's out there, as is Kent Nielsen at this point in time, hoping that there is some stage of development in the laps. Kent Nielsen is out of laps at this point. Piotrowski is not. Oliveira is not. John Pat Kelly making his way through the final section is not. You've got to be so careful of that Wall of Champions barrier on the outside. Very easy just to clip it, and it is an improvement of 14.6, but it does remain P20 there. Piotrowski cuts the final chicane, so will not improve. And, well, it's plain sailing for Diogo Oliveira, who is on pole position at this stage. So we're going to take ourselves over to the starting grid, see how everyone is going to stack up then in terms of their times, because it looks pretty simple and plain sailing. Car number 4 is back to form and is on pole position on top of that as well, ladies and gentlemen, here at SimSpeed TV, because it will be Diogo Oliveira in about the next 20 seconds as we take a lovely little gander around this wonderful quad kit and just how much this place has steeped its history as we go around this place. And almost we could say we miss it around this place. This is a place which time and again we want to go and visit, that we want to see, that we want to have a look at great racing. But as we said, Diogo Oliveira, 112.687, is on the pole position. Matt Wood, then the championship leader, and with car number 1, indicating he's got the highest iRacing in the field, start alongside in second place. Tom Volstra returned to the series, lines up in 3rd with Jorge Martinez in 4th position, and row 3 seeing Kleber Toffoli there, the second of the Brazilians in this field, and Darren Parker there in 6th position. Stefan Piotrowski, the Austrian, moves up into 7th position. Great qualifying by him with Mitchell Welker first, the Americans in 8th place. Klaus Siemetz starts 9th, the German, with Kent Nielsen. Home soil for Kent in 10th position, but with work to do here today. Reynaldo Augusto goes from 11th, had a dramatic end to last week's racing with Adam Webb, teammate to Kent Nielsen, in 12th position, so should give a little bit of help there. Seeing Ray Griffioen in what is 13th position, and Anthony Catt in the number 5 in P14. Roberto Serini, the Italian, lines up 15th alongside Bruno Canavas, with Yuri Bioja and Hiroyuki Sekaguchi on row 9 of the grid, 17th and 18th. 19th and 20th is Tamashene and John Pat Kelly, and then rounding out the field is car number 18, Brice Simeon, then in what is 21st position. They have 2 minutes to grid up then. Or they start from pit lane. That's something that will be keeping an eye out on in sim time just after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Scanned, of course, after the IndyCar races that went here once upon a time. And, of course, it is worth keeping in mind that they will have to stop for tyres in this race, not fuel. There's the green, there's the go, and it's a slow start from Diogo Oliveira. Immediately flying through then is Matt Wood, and a look around the outside from Tom Volstra, then in 2nd position. Are we going to get through this opening stage cleanly? Looks like we are at the moment. Nobody has spun up the tyres. A little bit of contact between Griffioen and Reynaldo Augusto going up through, but into turn 3. Matt Wood got the mega launch.
Oh, yes, good start from everybody here. I certainly expected a little bit more contact between these guys, but yeah, great start here from Matt Wood, and already starting to break a gap, but I'm sure Tom Volstra will hang on the back there. Oliveira just trying to clear that car behind of Martinez.
Trying to clear, not quite at that moment. Bit of contact there for Kleber Toffoli. Such a grease moment.
We've got cars going around.
That's a big one. That's one of the F1 apps cars then, and I believe that is Klaus Siemetz, who has gone around as well. So big dramas then at that second chicane off the road as well. Has gone Adam Webb at the hairpin. So looks like we've got a lot to unpack then on this opening lap. But Matt Wood still leads. There is Ray Griffioen trying to recover on through. There is Matt Wood, your race leader.
Yeah, great start there for Matt Wood, and continuing to show his dominance. Can't forget Tom Volstra though. He is hanging on the back, and he will drive very aggressive. I think this is going to be probably the greatest race that we've seen all season. There's Sperry.
Well, you got to knock wood on that. We're only lap 2 of 47 at this point in time. Now let's get a virtual racing school replay. See how all of this unfolds then between Bruno Canavas and co. And his contact with Ray Griffioen there, which causes the issue for the Brazilian in the F1 apps machine. Tamashene then in the faux BMW Salvador app runs into, I believe, troubles then at that moment in time. Very easily done. So let's see, on the brakes in towards this chicane. Just runs in a little bit deep there. Turns Klaus Siemetz, and that's just pure out braking on cold tyres.
Yeah, certainly pretty unlucky for those guys, and yeah, certainly not the start that they wanted. But yeah, great racing going up further up the field. Kent Nielsen doing a great job there, sitting in P8. Darren Parker also gap starting to form between himself. It's at
we are just starting
1
to see a couple
second
gaps
currently
forming here in this one as they make that run. No DRS until they get to lap 3 at this moment in time. And it's the front nose you can see at Tamashene as we get ultimate amounts then of wobble on the camera as we go on through that section of road under the Dodge Bridge. But at least for the moment, the pit stop you'd feel, where it'll be an extra 5 seconds in the box for a change of nose out there on track. So keep that in mind. Stefan Piotrowski here on a pretty good start. Has gone nowhere, has been leapfrogged, of course, by Mitch Welker, has got through Kleber Toffoli, who didn't have the best start, is down 6 places. But Piotrowski, work to do, is looking to get back to Welker here and wanted to get through up into P number 6. But you've got to really set the run up here, Fonzie.
Yeah, certainly do. And yeah, great track. It's a real driver's track, this one. Although we've got long straights, big, deep braking zones, and plenty of opportunities to pass. So Piotrowski, yeah, certainly putting the pressure on here, just waiting for a mistake there from Welker. Doing a fantastic job, sitting on P7.
P7, and now you can see the DRS in activation. It's a artificial way of overtaking, some will say. You've got to try and work out a way to go through, and not quite just yet. Very difficult to get a run through that final chicane to attack this second part, but if you do, you're going to be in a really great position. 2 drivers in the pits and out. Bruno Canavas and Brice Simeon are the 2 then who are in trouble, but top 2 is where the focus is, because Tom Volstra, with that DRS, keeping himself in range here to Matt Wood, and Wood is not going to be entirely safe with Volstra right now running around in what I would believe is a Cranfield Simulation sponsored car, which would lead me to believe that Tom Volstra is in a very, very prestigious outfit here with NHR Esports.
Yeah, you're exactly right there, Sperry. We've seen Tom Volstra in the past really do well, and yeah, he's putting the pressure on Wood tonight. Wood has dominated the last few races that we've had, but this front of this field is quite close considering what we've seen in the past few weeks.
Piotrowski's gone around and has got turned by Kent Nielsen down at Lepangle, the hairpin, and there's an apology there from Kent Nielsen, so it looks like Piotrowski immediately runs into troubles. We'll now have Ray Griffioen behind, and it just looked like it was a case of I missed my braking point from Kent Nielsen. We'll see this on the virtual racing score replay, exactly how this goes on here, Fonty, down into the hairpin.
Yeah, there we go. I'm just pulling up that myself.
See, on the brakes, just doesn't stop. Simple as that from time to time. And on the virtual racing score replay, keeps our eyes peeled on just how difficult it is to get yourself into position as these races continue to go on. Top 2 then, in their own battle here, first and second, Wood and Volstra at this moment in time, as it is England, or the United Kingdom, I should say, versus the Netherlands out there on track. And there's also that battle behind as well that we need to keep a little bit of attention on. Diogo Oliveira and Jorge Martinez will definitely want to try and get in and try and scrap if they can. We're on board with the nose cam at this stage, Fontiers. Volstra, again, looking to hunt Matt Wood down.
Yeah, there we go. Volstra wanting to get the job done, and I'm sure he can. It's going to be a battle of pit stops for these guys. Fantastic racing. I think this is the closest that we've seen a top 2 battle so far this season, and Volstra not putting a foot wrong at the moment. Oliveira and Martinez also having their own battle. These guys just want to work together, I think, to try and stay with that front bunch. They don't want to lose them at all. Then come the pit stop time, they lose too much time, they're going to be out the back door.
Yeah, and now you start to see just how this battle looks to really put itself into play. Wood, Volstra, Oliveira, Martinez, and Volstra really looking and sizing up opportunities. That third chicane, not a traditional place to make a move, but gets tucked up right underneath and is looking really, really feisty. And up for this one, if he can get a good run through this hairpin, there's a real chance here that you can understand it. But look at the line that Matt Wood is taking. He's trying to open up as much as he can off of the exit of the corners, and he is doing exactly that, opening up that line, giving himself room on this first long straight. And by the time that Tom Volstra looks to try and get up alongside, he's not going to be there, he's not going to have enough of a line, and then through the chicane where the dirty air effect comes in, it's completely covered again.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Jake, and yeah, it's Volstra's in a good position here, sitting in P2. He can use that draft, save a little bit of fuel, look after those tyres, and a little bit of a wiggle there from him. But yeah, just working with Tom Wood, and they are slowly pulling away from those guys behind them.
Yeah, working with Matt Wood there. Tom Volstra definitely trying to get through. Want to keep my eye on a battle a little bit further down the order as John Pat Kelly and Roberto Serini are dealing with a bit of blinking in front of them right now in the form of Hiroyuki Sekaguchi, and the number 20 machine is in 15th position right now on the road and is trying to cover absolutely everything off at this stage. But John Pat Kelly, this will be a really distracting point of the race, knowing that he's dealing with a different ping from a different area. Of course, there's an entire Pacific Ocean between those two drivers there, the drivers fighting in 15th and 16th.
Yep, you're exactly right. Great to see these Japanese drivers representing their country here tonight. And Kelly, an experienced driver, often races in this sort of position in the field, but yeah, doing a fantastic job. He's going to want to get this move done pretty quickly. Also to Foley, sitting there in P10, putting lots of pressure on Adam Webb.
Volstra thought about a move to the inside for the race lead, didn't quite manage it, and was very much a case of, I'm going to go for it. Oh, wait, no, I'm not alongside. So has to be patient, and all of this umming and ahhing. Oh, how has he saved that? I'm certain he was going to go around there, Tom Volstra. We were on board with him at the time, and he has just pulled an almighty save through turn 4.
Yeah, that was a big save. I almost think that maybe he's playing games with Wood, just trying to distract him a little bit to put him off and hope that he just touches the wall. But Tom Wood won't play those games. Fantastic drive we saw from him last week, and he's pulling out a good one so far. Oliveira, though, he's not letting these guys go, and Marquez hanging on the back there in fourth.
Matt Wood and Tom Volstra are very much here, Fonty, being dealt with by Diogo Oliveira at this stage. Marquez is just keeping quiet in at that fourth position. If he can just stay there, and if something happens between these top three, it's going to be a little bit of argy-bargy about it. Now, Oliveira, traditionally as a driver in this sort of series, has been a notorious user of the tyres in comparison to those two in front. So keep that in mind as this race goes on. How will Oliveira react, and how much tyre life will Oliveira have in comparison to these two in front?
Yeah, you're exactly right, mate. And this track, although it's got plenty of long straights, the corners that it does have are very aggressive and hard on the tyre. So you do want to look after that tyre as quickly, as much as possible. And Walstra here putting so much pressure on Matt Wood.
John Pat Kelly abandons the ship at turn 1, had lost the place initially then to Roberto Serini, and Serini has got through on Sekaguchi on top of that. So for John Pat Kelly, he's now behind Tamas Shane and dealing with Klaus Siemert as we look back again to the front of this race and the fantastic four that are going on at this moment. Matt Wood holding station at this stage at the front of the field, and now he's going to be looking pretty aggressively about how this race is going to go. At what point would you say is the right time to strike? There's the dirty air again. Doesn't really help Volstra. He doesn't have a run here on this lap. But how on earth does Matt Wood go and win this race when the drivers behind him are primed and ready here, Fonty, for the undercut?
Yeah, I think you're right, mate. It's Walstra, a very experienced driver, and if I was him, sit there, stay there, make the move before you're going to do your pit stop. And then, just hopefully your pit crew do a good stop and you come out in front. But, yeah, very good driver, both these guys. I think Walstra is playing the right game at the moment, just hanging back there, trying to put Wood off so he makes a mistake. But he's not playing with those games. Oliveira just sitting there quietly and, hoping that these two come off together or just waiting to pounce.
Well, it's all about waiting to pounce. It's all about waiting for the moment in these sorts of races, while the top four are still battling aggressively. 5th and 6th have got pretty close as well, just behind. There you can see Darren Parker with the rainbow sides there of the car, looking to really charge on forward and get to Darren Parker there in the green machine in what is 5th position. On the brakes into that final chicane once again. Wall of Champions there on the right-hand side. And then you make that run once again towards turn numbers 1, 2 again on this lap. Darren Parker has just been very quietly getting on with this race. Has dropped 6 seconds to the group in front. But, crucially, this group is 5 seconds clear of Kent Nielsen and running half a second a lap quicker.
Yeah, exactly right. There's also a really cool battle going on between Webb, Toffoli, and Augusto. These guys fighting it out here for 8th spot. So half a second separating all three of them, and keeping it pretty clean at the moment. Everyone's just kind of hanging about, just sticking on the back as we got some side-by-side action though. Toffoli, he's looking for a move on Adam Webb, and he backs out as they go through that S section. Nice battle going between these guys as we're on lap 11 of 47.
And that's also something to keep in mind. The pit strategy, soft is the port of call today, which will be about 23, 24 laps if you can make that manage. So keep that in mind as drivers will look to try and go as long as they possibly can here in at these conditions, which will be cooling as this race goes on. There you can see here Adam Webb chasing down Augusto. Behind him, of course, is Kleber Toffoli trying to recover away through the field, and Toffoli gets a really good run, but he is going to be tempered on this run by the fact that there is DRS for Adam Webb in front. That's what a DRS train is all about then here at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve, and how difficult it actually becomes to overtake.
Yeah, it is quite a difficult circuit to overtake just because of the corner exits. They're very fast, and yeah, you certainly need to get it right in the braking zone and kind of put the car that you're passing into a difficult position so he can't get the run out. Toffoli putting plenty of pressure on Webb here and just waiting for Webb to make a mistake. In the meantime, this is opening up a little bit of a gap for Augusto.
Ever so slightly, but you can see Piotrowski's waiting in the background as well. It will soon become a 4-car fight here for these positions. The final spots in the top 10, and everyone on the brakes. And
oh, we've got a car around.
Yeah, exactly. It's that car
Webb.
around again. Adam Webb finding himself in huge trouble. And look at the pile-up down there now. Getting completely stopped was Griffioen and Anthony Cat. And now Griffioen and Cat have come together as Griffioen was too greedy on the accelerator. Everything just going completely belly up in the midfield.
Sideways action here between Toffoli. These three cars going side by side, and the front guys are just pulling away. We've got 4 cars now: Martinez, Oliveira, Walstra, and Wood all fighting it out here. And I reckon the best car in position is Martinez. He could really take advantage of this one.
Let's dissect everything. Motum simulation replay. Toffoli looking to be aggressive here, trying to take that line. It looks like the door's left open there by Adam Webb, and then Piotrowski's got to try and find a way through. Next group comes up on the scene. Where on earth are you supposed to go if you're those two? It's a nice sneak down through the middle for Yuri Bioja, who picks up both of them, and they can see I'm eager and I'm aggressive to get going, and that doesn't work if you are Ray Griffioen. That is a very awkward one as he runs into the 3 Lions cars. I'm sure every fan other than the English would very much like to do.
Yeah, I'd certainly be pretty happy if I was those guys behind and trying to make my way up. But yeah, the likes of Anthony Cat caught up in those accidents. Disappointing for them. Doesn't look like too much damage at this stage. Yeah, plenty of the race to go, so anything can happen from this point.
Anything can, and it usually does, but Anthony Cat does have damage. The front wing completely skewed up. Ray Griffioen's got a skewed up front wing as well, as does Adam Webb. The front looks very much in trouble on top of that. There is Ray Griffioen. You can see the damage going down the straight, and into the pits comes the 3 lines on a shirt car that is one Mr. Anthony Katz. And I say lines on a shirt, not lines on a shirt, for anyone who comes from the United States of America. But at least for the moment, that is going to be forcing an early stop and probably the mediums.
Yeah, probably a good call from him at this stage. Plenty of experience Anthony Cat has. Number 5 car, so iRacing is quite high. He'll be disappointed to get tangled up in that one. But yeah, chuck the medium tyre on and try push it towards the end. The field is really, really close here, considering how many laps have gone by. 14 laps now through. Normally we would see massive gaps. We've only got really a couple here. Welker putting plenty of pressure on Parker. We've also got Serini putting plenty of pressure on Ray Griffioen.
And this is what happened to Stefan Piotrowski, just losing the back end on entry, struggling maybe with the car with the bit of contact that was made down there, of course, at Lepangle a couple laps ago. And that is why a couple of places have been dropped at this stage. Battle over for fifth and sixth. Parker and Welker getting even closer than it was then, as the charge going through from the 16 machine behind it does say 76 on the front, but the iRacing number is 16. And once more, it's going to be a case of not quite there on the brakes and trying to go through. And you could see there just some of the elements of how this sim has developed there, and part of the chrome that has come into some of the iRacing paints. They could see just how much of a glint there was as that machine there from Darren Parker had eyes on it going through that third chicane. Yeah,
you're certainly right, Sperry. And the advances that iRacing have made on the paint side of things, when it comes to how good the cars look, has been amazing over the past sort of 12 to 24 months. They've made such massive gains, and the cars actually really do look so real, and you've seen some awesome paint schemes coming out recently.
We certainly have, and we're seeing some awesome battling as well as they continue to keep themselves in line at this stage. Maybe look a bit behind, because it's going to be Serini trying to get down the inside, and will do on Ray Griffio, and there the orange McLaren, the papaya McLaren, getting it done, but got no run off to the exit, and suddenly Griffioen is back there, damaged wing and all, trying to think of a move into turn number one, but is not going to get there in a month of Sunday. So Roberto Serini is now up 2 places in this race. He's now up into 13th.
Yeah, certainly right there, Sperry. And Griffio, an experienced driver. We don't normally see him sort of up the front of the field, but normally sort of keeps it pretty clean, respectful driver, and trying to put a move on here. It is very difficult to make a move stick here. I know it's certainly not one of my favourite tracks to drive at. It certainly can cause some carnage, but plenty of great racing, and Welstra and Oliveira putting plenty of pressure on Wood. This is the most pressure he's had this season so far.
Yes, but we know that there's still a long way to go in this race. Matt Wood just managing this one from the front, hasn't been able to break away from those drivers. They have shed Jorge Marquez a little bit here to the tune of 1.6 seconds. Sorry, Fonty?
Oh, sorry, mate. I was just saying Wood has pulled a slight gap on Welstra, and Oliveira going to put pressure on Welstra there. This could certainly open up the gap even more. We're up to 0.9 of a second, so if these guys battle too hard, it's going to open up that gap even further for Wood, and he'll be able to relax a little bit.
Yeah, but the key is 0.9 of a second. For the first time, it dips up over a second, but Parker from 5th place goes around, finds the wall, and the virtual racing school replay will say all in terms of this battle. So through they go, that third chicane, striking and finding a victim then here at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. And how easy has this one gone around for Darren Parker? He goes through the right, he looks to cover back through the left, and he just looks to put the power down a smidgen too early, and I think he's got away with that hit on the barriers.
Yeah, he's just grabbed the gas a bit too early and a bit too hard. A bit unlucky for him there, really. Certainly he was driving pretty well, and maybe the car just bounced not quite right for him and looped around. So he's certainly has got away with it, though. Still sitting there in 6th position and not any damage.
Now, Kent Nielsen here has dropped 2 seconds in the last lap because he had a half spin going through turn number 4 out on circuit and was able to save the car. He hasn't lost any places, but now he's got mirrors full of Reynaldo Augusto, and it's very much focus time for Kent.
Yeah, also looking back here for John Pat Kelly. He's got mirrors full of the car behind him too, fighting there for 16th position, and looking like there's going to be a pass going on here very soon, I would think.
Klaus Siemitz has been staring at the back of John Pat Kelly ever since John Pat Kelly went off the road at turn number 1. Of course, trying to stay out of the way. There's the leading gap. Once again, it's 8/10 between 1st, 2nd and 3rd, and a second back to 4th position. So they're very evenly spread at this moment in time. There you can see is 5th position and Mitchell Welker, and the gap now 5 seconds back to Darren Parker in 6th position. The battle still on, of course, 7th and 8th, but no real changes between Nielsen and Augusto. Toffoli 4 seconds back of this group in 9th, and the top 10 at this stage currently being rounded out by Yuri Bioja, who started 17th. In fact, the biggest mover in the field, up 7 places so far at this point in time, and doing an absolutely fantastic job is the Swiss driver. There's even a big plus on the front of the car.
Certainly is. And yeah, this battle for the lead is definitely the best we have seen all season. Gaps opened up just within the last 30 seconds to 1.3 seconds. Walstra making a mistake. Now he's under pressure from Oliveira. Is he going to get the pass done? Oh, there we go. So Walstra had gone into the pits. Made the call early. Is this going to change things for Wood? Is Wood going to come in at this point? And is Oliveira going to follow? Let's just wait and see the next lap.
Well, this is an awkward time to stop here.
It is.
Lap 19, lap 20, this would suggest that it would be a stint onto the medium compounds. It's a long pit lane here as well, 64 kilometers an hour. And you look for your box, and the boxes here are the IndyCar style boxes. You go all the way down to the end of the pit, on and off and away again goes Tom Volstra. And what is key is he stays on the softs, which means this will have to be a 27 lap stint on the softs. Those tyres are going to scream, and he's got to make passes now. Augusto and Nielsen, he has made his pit stop at exactly the wrong time. He needed to wait one more lap.
Yeah, he did. These guys are very good drivers, though, and they'll know the pace that he has. I'm sure he'll be able to get by reasonably quickly, but yeah, 27 laps. Oh, a bit of smoke I'm seeing there as they come through that chicane. And Walstra wanting to get the pass done here. He's got to get that draft right, get that exit out of the turn. I think we're going to see it now.
Well, Parker's hit the wall in front of them, so there's even more troubles here. Nielsen down the inside, Volstra down the inside as well. Volstra gets one, should be able to get two. Does get two, so a very good move then going on to the casino straight. Good gamble there from Tom Volstra. No takers on the lane. This is an important undercut moment here as now round goes Reynaldo Augusto trying to get it done, but Parker dives to the pits. Bang! It's Nielsen hard into the wall. Contact with Tom Volstra, and that will be incredibly frustrating for the home race there for Kent Nielsen. Virtual racing score replay. It happened in the blink of an eye in the Wall of Champions.
Yeah, that was very fast there. I need to see this on the replay to know exactly what happened, but yeah, certainly the car trying to dive into the pit lane as well, and yeah,
that's just Nielsen losing it on his own, getting some help from Volstra.
Disappointing. Volstra trying to make that through. You could see how close he was, and certainly had more overall pace than what Nielsen does have. And oh yeah, disappointing there for Nielsen. He'll be pretty annoyed at that one. He will try and finish though, I would think. Try and get those points for the championship.
It's Ray Griffio in 9.2 seconds on the stop, but the big thing about that incident is a lot of the lead is now coming except for Marquez. So Wood comes in, Oliveira comes in, Marquez stays out. There is heavy damage to the front wing of what is Tom Volstra. This is huge. Klaus Siemitz now out of the race. We haven't seen what's happened to Klaus, but Klaus has retired the car, was in 14th position at the time, so that is dramas. Oliveira and Wood out and away once again, and we'll see how close this is as they go through. Crucially, back into the same position goes one Mr. Tom Volstra, but he is going to be walking wounded from now to the end of this race.
Yeah, certainly, and he went into the wall. I'm not sure exactly what turn that was, but he has brushed the wall coming out of one of the chicanes. We might catch it on the replay, but yeah, struggling with on turn 2 it is, so thanks Barry for that. Yeah, just touching the wall and not having that front wing is going to change how he has to race. His race win, I think, at this stage is done. This certainly helps things for Matt Wood and Marquez. Certainly helps give him a little bit of relaxing time, considering how fast Walstra normally is.
Yeah, Tom Volstra, though, does not want to quit, not want to give up, but Jorge Marquez here is going for an extreme overcut on this strategy. And this is important here from Marquez. He's trying to make sure that he's got better tyre life than his opponents towards the end. Here comes Oliveira, very easily trying to look to the inside, but no dice. Then Volstra covers it off through the first part, really holding up this group now is Tom. And this is now a case of try again, looking to the inside. Is this finally a move in towards turn one? Again, Volstra's going to try and cover it off. Has the inside line, up and under, tries Oliveira, but he has to check up because there was no room there. Volstra is a maestro at car control and car placement.
Yes, Volstra is a very good driver. Oliveira needs to just be patient here and wait for the right passing opportunity. Needs to remember that that front car in front of him doesn't have a front wing, so aero is not going to be an option for Volstra. He will get it done, I think, within this next lap. Just needs to do it in the right place, and Volstra, being very aggressive that he is, would probably be the best opportunity to do it out of one of the sharper corners.
Well, into the pits comes the race leader, Jorge Marquez, on lap 23. He's half and halving the stop and looking to try and go as long as possible then to make things a reality. Volstra has been defending, but by a very, very aggressive margin. A 1:16.1 was his last lap through. Here comes again Oliveira, outside line. He went through a gap that nobody could get through. And
no, he doesn't.
Still fights around the outside.
Oh.
Brilliant work with a damaged front wing on top of that. But we know the DRS is there with Oliveira. Volstra's got to be incredibly brave again around the outside. He does so again. This is incredible defense. Marquez has just jumped them both, and that's trivial at this point to this battle.
Oh, this is really detrimental for Oliveira. What great driving there from Volstra. Absolutely commitment at its best and not giving up, not giving any room to Oliveira. He's shown how much talent he really does have, even without a front wing. This is playing in the hands of Marquez perfectly, and also Matt Wood. He's just sitting there laughing away.
Sekaguchi not happy on the radio either as he was trying to come down into the pits. He goes, hey to Tamashane, because he got overtaken on the back stretch and got blocked on his line coming into the pit. So Sekaguchi not very pleased, but still, again, this battle continues right now, and they're costing him a lot of time. Big mistake then.
He's got him.
Tom Volstra, he ran in a bit deep. He's trying to get as much drive out of the exit, but Oliveira can match him every stage of the way, and I think this one is going to be the one that signs it off. Look, he's already through 331 kilometers an hour compared to 310 from Tom Volstra, who hits the brakes and understands, yep, I'm beaten. I can't do any more to hold back. Finally, Oliveira gets the move done.
Yeah, I think for Volstra, he just needs to just play the patient game. He pitted first, and those tyres are the soft compound, so they're gonna not really last the distance. We're lap 25 of 47, so 22 laps to go. He's been passed by Oliveira, who is a very good driver. We got Welker behind, who's 12 seconds. So Volstra could easily finish fourth here if he just plays the right game and continues that car driving the way it is.
You're forgetting one important thing here, Fonty, and that is the fact that he's a racer as Yuri Bioja comes out of the pits then and away, and will come out right next to Darren Parker and co. Looking to get a good run, and sneaking through there is Piotrowski, making sure that he takes 8th place away from Bioja then with that move. But you forget that Tom Volstra is a racer. He wants to go out there and win races, be on podiums, get all of that element through. And just keeping an eye out, Renato Augusto out of the race now as well in the number 14, and that is an abrupt end out of the second chicane. And Augusto has all the talent in the world. We've seen it for years. The one thing he struggles to do, though, Fonty, is keep it out of the barriers.
Yep, and that's one thing that you need to do to win championships. As you were saying, Barry Volstra is a racer, is very determined, and we've seen him absolutely dominate in the past in this championship. You need to not forget, though, that front wing, certainly not a brand new front wing, and it's going to be hurting him big time. The gap between himself and Oliveira, 2.7 seconds within a lap. So race win, not a question for Volstra at the stage. Welker chasing him down. He's got 18 seconds separating the two.
Bioja in again. That might be speeding on pit exit, and that will hurt a lot for Yuri as he comes in and makes his stop. So not ideal in the slightest, but a long way to go here in this race. Now, Jorge Martinez took half a second out of Matt Wood that last time by, but was a tenth slower than Diogo Oliveira, who's gone purple over that last lap, a 14.471. So it shows that Oliveira, who qualified it on pole position, does have the best one-lap pace in this field. Martinez definitely has ideas of chasing down Matt Wood, ideas to the tune of another 3 tenths taken out. The gap is down to 2 seconds.
Yep, that's exactly right. Wood, Oliveira pitted at the same time. Martinez has 2 laps fresher tyres, so will that make all the difference come the end of the race? We've got 20 laps to go now, and less than 2 seconds separating first and second. All these front, 4 drivers, even 5 drivers, and 6 drivers, Toffoli included, very, very good peddlers. And Oliveira, I think if he plays his cards right, he could certainly come through and take this race win.
Certainly could do, and that is what we are seeing at this stage. Drivers looking to try and bring themselves back into play in this race and give them exactly what they need, as it's still a case of these 3 chasing. We did have a little bit of side-by-side almost on the front stretch. In fact, no, we didn't, but ultimately, for the moment, every gap looks like there's a couple seconds between them at this moment in time. Martinez is desperately trying to reel back in Matt Wood, and this is important right now for Jorge Martinez. He doesn't want another season like last season, where it was a case of Jorge Martinez was second best to Matteo Ugolotti the entire way around. He doesn't want the same thing to happen to car number 1 of Matt Wood, who has taken the role of top dog this season. Jorge Martinez wants to prove that he's the best. You can see he got right up to the wall there, trying to get every single hundredth and thousandth of a second out of the track. He knows what he needs. He's 1.7 seconds back here of Matt Wood, and he is pushing like Billy-O.
Yes, you're exactly right, Sperry. He is slightly closing that gap. He has got 2 lap fresher tyres than what Wood has, so he needs to keep that in the back of his mind, and come those last 2 laps, it's really going to be a bit of a gamble. The gap has opened up to 1.9 seconds, so just needs to slightly itch away doing those same times. They're basically identical pace on track at this stage. A 1:14.571 for Wood, a 1:14.528 there for Martinez. So good driving from both these guys. Oliveira, the gap is opening up between second and third now.
It is opening up between second and third, as Diogo Oliveira can't necessarily get there at this stage and can't stay with these drivers. 14.6 from Martinez, 14.5 from Matt Wood, who is very good on the straight. But you have to remember as well that Matt Wood had DRS on that straight because of the traffic in front of Ray Griffioen. I expect this lap in the same place that it's going to be swings and roundabouts potentially here for Jorge Martinez, but he is going to be in trouble middle sector here on this lap because of where Ray Griffioen is, and he gets caught in the dirty air effect. And of course, iRacing blue flags on top of that, as well as Griffioen gets out of the way. Advisory, not mandatory. You're not going to get penalised if you don't get out of the way here in iRacing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And this talent of drivers in this field, you don't want to be one of those guys caught behind. Most of the guys will be pretty respectful, I would think, and let them past if you are being lapped. But yeah, gonna certainly hold you up at some point. Martinez sitting at 1.8 seconds. That gap between second and third is now at 3.1 seconds. So Wood doing a fantastic job here, as we've seen in previous events. Taking this race lead, he's certainly been able to relax in the last few laps since Walstra had that moment and clipped that front wing. Walstra in fourth now, gap between himself and Oliver at 6.4 seconds. So yeah, certainly opened up, and Wildcat has closed it from 18 seconds the last time we spoke to 11.9.
11.9, but it's staying there at 11.9 is the key. Welker's doing 15.8, so it was a 15.8 as well for Tom Volstra, so no dice in terms of that being chased down at this moment in time. There are some interesting battles here. Parker and Piotrowski's gap down to a second and a half. That one being closed down now. What's interesting is Piotrowski on the yellow-walled medium compound tyres. There are only 2 other drivers in the field who are on the yellow wall trying to get it home to the end. They are Adam Webb and they are Anthony Katz. So those three are the only ones, you could say they are the three medium-tired musketeers trying to get it home.
You're exactly right, and pretty big gamble from them. Piotrowski, very good driver. Let's see how he does. Do those medium tyres hold out till the end? We have 18 laps to go, so now already 10 laps old. Anthony Katz, 17 lap old tyres. I reckon they'll be almost down to the cords by the time he finishes, so still doing pretty good lap times. Certainly not the pace of what we have at the front, and out front Matt Wood has pulled that gap to 1.5 seconds.
Well, he's actually lost that gap to 1.5 seconds. He's not pulled it. It was 2 seconds a couple of laps ago. He's dropping time. Bit of traffic in front didn't help either. It was John Pat Kelly, one of the more gracious bits of traffic, one of the best we see. We're on board right now with Piotrowski, I believe, at this point in time. Nope, we're on board with Darren Parker from the gearbox as we go through the right and the left at this point in time. And we can always keep an eye out on who is where with the iRacing tracker that we got up on top of screen at this moment in time. So still a long way to go here in this one. Your biggest movers and shakers are actually tied. John Pat Kelly is up 7 places, is tied for that with Hiroyuki Sekaguchi up there in 11th position. Will be lapped pretty soon when Wood reaches that. But Martinez, Piotrowski had a huge moment there coming through turn 4. Very well to save it. Look at Martinez. He has pulled a worldie of a lap. Look at that. It's a 14.2. He's suddenly gone, yeah, time to attack.
Yep, found another gear. That car is on fire today, and he just needs to get it under that 1 second. And yeah, Wood will be starting to panic now. Martinez driving a fantastic race, like you said. He's often finished bridesmaid position, but tonight he's looking to get that race win. Matt Wood will not make it easy. Gaps closed to 0.9 of a second.
Well, what's key as well is that was the fastest lap of the race on top of that from Jorge Martinez. Wonderful work being done. Now you start to wonder here for Matt Wood, is he an Ayrton Senna style driver or an Alain Prost style driver? An Alain Prost style driver will let Jorge Martinez have this one and will go to the next race and try and pick up the points there and manage it all the way through. Someone like his Ayrton Senna style driver is going to fight this one all the way. We know what we want, but Matt Wood, of course, leads the championship over Martinez by a good 30-odd points right now.
Yeah, exactly right. We've seen Wood really have some dominant drives this season, and yeah, even if he did happen to finish second, I think that he's got to be happy with that.
9/10 of a second, now down to 7/8 of a second going through that opening sector. Then those opening couple of corners, Martinez in the MAG Performance car is absolutely flying at this moment in time, and we are seeing just how important this race is here for the championship. These are the sorts of races that you look at, you put down on the table, Fonty, and say this is making or breaking the first third of the season, with 4 drop rounds available here, and Matt Wood picking up 3 straight victories to start the season. The one thing that Matt Wood doesn't want to be doing is allowing the door to open up for Jorge Martinez for him to build momentum, and this will be a very big momentum killer if Matt Wood can hold on, but it's a long way to go. 15 laps on 2-lap older tyres than his main competitor.
Yep, exactly right. Wood and Martinez are one of the best that we would see out there, and fantastic drivers. Wood, like you said, has won every race so far. Martinez, I'm sure he would like to stand on that top step of the podium, and it wouldn't really hurt Wood too much. As long as he finishes and doesn't get into too much damage, that's probably going to be the best option if Martinez has the pace.
Sorry, I will correct myself. Bartosic won last week, but isn't here today. So out of all the competitors here, he's won all the races so far. But Thomas Bartosic, of course, last week picking up one in style, but still points scored from other splits from Matt Wood to allow himself the margin up on top. But Martinez definitely not giving this one up. 7/10 of a second, but he's got to slowly close that down. But the more also as well, Fonty, he closes that down, the more he gets into that dirty air, the more actually he's using that tyre up, and that advantage really mitigates.
Yeah, certainly right. Correcting myself, completely forgot we had a race last week. I wasn't here. I was away from broadcasting, so didn't manage to see the results, but back to tonight's racing, and Wood, I'm sure he can take the win away here. And yeah, what a fantastic circuit. I love this place, love watching racing. And as you can see by the field here, it is really close considering the caliber of drivers that we have here. Looking back at Adam Webb, under 1 second to the car in front of him, so he's hoping to finish inside the top 10 as well. That gap between Martinez and Wood, under a second.
Under a second, but Matt Wood has just set the fastest lap of the race with a 1:14.252, beating the fastest lap by 0.08 of a second. So really showing that Matt Wood is having to be forced to attack at this moment against Jorge Martinez. He's got to get going, and there are 2 bits of lap traffic on the horizon. They are Adam Webb and Hiroyuki Sakaguchi, who are in 11th and 10th positions as off the road goes Adam Webb just in front. So big dramas. He's got to be careful on the rejoin here. He keeps it nice and narrow. No dramas at all, but Adam Webb really struggling on those mediums.
Yeah, has he maybe got a little bit of a problem there, maybe with his wheel or pedals or something, because he's certainly struggling. But looking back out front, I must ask you, Sperry, who's your money on here, Martinez or Wood?
At the moment, I don't know, and that is the best thing about racing, is that you don't know who your money's on. You don't know who's got what, and anything can change this race, and we have seen it time and time again. As there we see again the replay there. What great car control. It looked about 4 or 5 different times there from Adam Webb that he was in the wall or he was in those 2 drivers leading the race.
Yeah, certainly great car control. Hanging on to that one, I would have for sure put it in the wall. Probably on lap 1. Definitely put it in the wall. Not been able to complete certainly 36 laps of what these guys have done. But this gap out front, half a second now between Wood and Martinez. Is Wood got the pace to do it? If I was to put money on anything, I reckon Martinez is going to get this one. Sperry?
It's going to be tough though, because it looks like Jorge Martinez is struggling maybe a little bit in a straight line in comparison. We need to see this. There will be DRS for both drivers here on this straight because of Sakaguchi just in front. The Japanese driver running in, I believe, one of the Super Formula liveries out there. So Matt Wood, as he gets himself then through, he won't actually get DRS on this straight because he wasn't within 1 second when he hit the brakes. Gets himself right up there on the run through as they try and make sure that this one works. Bioja on the radio as well is going to let Welker go through as quickly as he possibly can. But crucially, as I look through, Martinez, as he looks to hit that braking zone, is at 298 kilometers an hour. Matt Wood, in comparison, as he hits, is only at 296. So it looks like, in fact, Matt Wood is just using the advantage of just being out there a little bit in front. They look like they're on very similar packages in terms of straight line speed.
Yep, I think those 2 laps difference between the tyres is going to make a difference come the end of the race. We're now 15 lap old tyres for Matt Wood, 13 lap old tyres for Martinez. The gap separating the 2.6 of a second. Both these guys are fantastic drivers, and Wood isn't going to give up the position easy, but Martinez, he's got the advantage with the draft, he's got the advantage with the tyres, and he's a very good peddler. So let's just see how it goes. I think that he might be able to get it done tonight.
Nobody said this was easy. It's sim racing after all, and it makes life very, very tough in order to get things done and happening here. But Jorge Martinez knows that if he is going to make this move, he has got to close up more. He's lost 2/10 over the course of this lap, and most of them, I would believe, was being the hairpin as he took a little bit of a wider line going through. So a 14.4 against a 14.3. They are really pushing it, and this is what Martinez, I think, is gambling on at this stage. We also have to keep an eye out on the battle between Piotrowski and Parker. That one coming down by 7/10 over the last lap. The key here is tyre life, and how long can Matt Wood's tyres survive the onslaught that they're being put through, because he has to push because of Martinez behind.
That is exactly right, and yeah, Martinez, he has certainly the advantage in track position right now. He's looking after the car. Wood will be hoping that Martinez makes a mistake, but both these guys very good drivers. Can't forget Oliveira. He has dropped off the pace, so he's just cruising home. sitting there in third. He's got to accept third position now unless these front two cars have it coming together. But yeah, just third position for Oliveira. Walstra sitting back there in fourth. Disappointing result for him. I was hoping to see a really tight battle between himself and Wood come the end. But yeah, certainly that damage early on in the race didn't allow that to happen.
No, definitely scuppered it, but this is the closest Martinez has been all race. He's got the gap down under half a second with the fastest lap of the race, a 1:14.159. But Oliveira just behind hasn't done the fastest lap there. That was a 1:14.936 there last time by. We just saw that pop up on the graphic. But on top of this as well, off the road goes Darren Parker and through goes Piotrowski.
There we go. So Parker made a bit of a mistake. Car seems to be all right though, from what I can see. No damage at the stage, but yeah, getting on in this race. We're now 39 laps through this race, so these drivers starting to get pretty tired, and you can certainly see the experienced drivers starting to come through.
Yeah, and the experience needed. This is a high-intensity circuit. The only place you can really breathe is on these two straights at the end of the lap. But look at Martinez,
nice
goes
battle.
right in.
Go.
Then in the first attempt, not close enough just yet to go and make a move. But try again, why don't you? You've got a second bout of DRS if the first one didn't quite work. Martinez brings that gap down again to 0.2 of a second. He's got to be a little bit closer than that if he wants to get the move done. If he wants to cleanly get the move done. And he knows that this is a case of chances do not get much better than this for him. He has been second best all season. Right now, he's looking like he's done absolutely what he needs to, as there's a little battle out there on track. Yuri Bioja getting by Ray Griffioen.
Yep, there we go. That was a nice little battle there and keeping it clean there. Griffioen dropping back a position, really struggling with those tyres now. 18-lap-old tyres compared to Bioja on 14-lap-old tyres. So starting to take advantage there, and the gap's already opened up to 1.1. Martinez needing to do a little bit of work, maybe letting those tyres cool down and trying to find his best position to pounce on Wood.
Exactly. I wouldn't also count out Mitchell Welker closing up to Tom Volstra come the end of the race. The gap is now down to just 6 seconds here at the moment. So keep that in mind with 8 laps to go. Again, close from one Mr. Jorge Martinez. Not close enough to make a move. And we know that Matt Wood has been faultless so far this race. He's just been quietly getting on with it as he's gone through another 14.4 as they cross the line. Tamas Shane in the pits. It looks like a retirement for Tamas then in this one as well, which means we're down to just 15 runners from the 21 who started. Your retirees: Tamas Shane, Renato Augusto, Klaus Siemitz, Kent Nielsen, Brice Simeon, and then Bruno Canavas. Those are the 6 that are out of this race at the moment. But Martinez here wants to make sure that he takes this one. But again, you're seeing that's where the dirty air effect hurts, that second chicane.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Because these chicanes are so fast, that front aero plays a massive part in this whole thing. Just coming off the turn and being able to get on the throttle really makes it difficult to make a move. But we still do have 7 laps to go for this. So Martinez is in a fantastic position to make a move, and I'm sure he'll do it at the right time. Wood is not going to make it easy. That gap between Walstra and Welker is 4 seconds.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Tom Volstra's struggling right now, and remember how early Tom Volstra came in terms of the tyre life, the damage to the front wing. He is in full struggle street at this moment in time, and I think he has hit the cliff, and he is now going to have to try and survive in comparison to those. You can see he pitted on lap 20. We're on lap 42 about to start, so this is a very long stint on the medium compound tyre, the soft compound tyres, which Mitchell Welker will be just absolutely thriving on the moment that he can get there. You can see as well that that is John Pat Kelly in front without a rear wing. It's then the next car in front, which is Tom Volstra.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think it is going to be a close battle between Volstra and Welker here. 3.9 seconds separating the two. 1 second in lap time. 15.8 for Welker. 14.8 So, yeah, it's got to be on. I think, yeah, Welker's certainly going to get it done. But the battle is on for the lead. Half a second separating Martinez and Wood. These guys not going to give each other any room on track. Well, they'll probably give each other just enough room on track to be able to finish this race.
Yes, but T-word, traffic, that is Roberto Serini just in front of them. And this is important for Martinez because that is just enough to close him back up again. Will Serini let them both go? The answer is yes. Martinez desperate to try and get through and is not getting enough help to make a reality of a pass. He's been staring and staring and staring at that, I would say, grey and purple gearbox then of that McLaren MP430 in front, and he has not been able to find a way to unlock a move. And I think now you've got to say Martinez is a very, very passive style driver. He's got to find an aggressive bone in his body somewhere.
Yeah, he does. He also, he's hoping that Wood will make a mistake. Certainly this lap car in front is going to play a part in it, I think. Struggling with the front end is Martinez. A little bit of a push off the hairpin. That's going to open up the gap again. And that's not what he wants. These long straights is where he's going to be able to do it. Closing the gap up to 0.4. And he needs to get it right up there and absolutely commit himself. Probably make that car twice as wide as what it currently is.
He's got to get there, that's the issue. He gets within 3/10 on the front stretch, and then all of a sudden he's back in the twisty section again. That's been the way this race has been going, and it's been hurting, and there's no other way around it. Meanwhile, behind, and this is important, Welker is within 2 seconds, and within a bit more than 2 seconds. That gap is 1 second.
Yeah, sorry, that's yeah, exactly right, Welker. He's going to get this one done. So Walstra has to accept 5th position. Yeah, certainly hard when he had so much pace early on in the race. But yeah, that front wing damage is just slowing him down far too much. Welker's going to slip through there and get that P4. He's really started to struggle as Walstra in these last few laps. Pace dropping right off to 16.6 seconds. 24 lap old tyres, so the tyres will certainly be pretty much down to the cords at this stage.
Yeah, that was 1.7 seconds lost on that last lap, as again, you can see on the brakes, the right-left chicane of that third chicane comes into view. And once more, it's another case of wait for it. You'll get a really good run on that front stretch because all of the air that is punching over the front wing is going to be completely distorted on that NHR Esports machine just in front. Pick up the run, and this will be nice and easy if you can get that done. You can see he's gained 5 seconds in the last 3 laps. Watch this move to the inside. This is going to be as easy as you like. Still going to be fought, though, on that inside line, but he had to double take there, did Volstra, to get through the corner. Slides it on the exit on top of that. Loses out. Loses 19 seconds left. Serini, by the way, he wants 8th place, and it's against Parker.
Yeah, there we go. Walstra struggling big time on those tyres. You saw on the corner exit there, the rear end just wants to go around on him. Welker, got to be happy with 4th place. Certainly has a little bit more, well, pretty much the exact same pace as Oliveira, but this battle right out front. Can Martinez manage to do it, or is Wood going to show his true talent and just hang on there and take this race win?
Well, I had a look at Martinez. He was incredibly deep on the brakes. He actually locked up the front, and that's cost him, and that was not a good exit either from Jorge Martinez. So now that gap suddenly extends once again as Matt Wood puts a 14-1 down on the board. Now the gap's 0.7 of a second, and Martinez is going to have to spend the entirety of this next lap just getting to the back right now of Matt Wood, finding an opportunity to go out there and attack. That battle behind them, which is a lap down, Parker and Serini, continues on out there on track. Serini wants to be +7 for the day, find 8th place, and is just not finding a way through just yet, as again Parker has everything covered as they go through the right and then, sorry, the left and then the next right, as they try and figure out, Fonzie, how they're going to sort this one out inside the top 10.
That is exactly right. It's amazing how much 1 lap older tyres plays such a difference when they get 20 laps old. Parker really struggling there, and I think we're going to see a moves from Serini Not this corner, maybe the next.
Oh,
Martinez.
thank you.
Oh, there we go. Easy done. He just let him go on that one. So Sereni moves forward there through to 8th position. Got to be happy with that
Yeah.
result overall.
A forced error then with a lap and a little bit to go. But the last lap starts for Matt Wood and Jorge Martinez. Martinez is back in range, has got himself back to 0.4 of a second, but now he's got to be so aggressive. Did a 14.2 to close that all back up again. Matt Wood is not safe just yet, but he has driven a faultless race at the front. Martinez has got to the back, but has found out why this is such a difficult track to overtake at, the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, and that is because the dirty air effect is so strong here in these McLaren MP430s. Going through the long right then, putting the power down. This is where you struggle and you have to wait a little bit if you're Martinez. I think he's got to be really aggressive down at the hairpin. He's got to try and throw something there at Lepangle, give himself a chance. They're both incredibly strong through that third chicane over those curves, but I think Wood was slightly better and has pulled out a little bit of a gap then. How deep on the brakes does he go? Ooh. They're all nicely sorted. It comes down to draft then for Jorge Martinez, but it looked like he half missed a shift there as he went through, and that will pretty much resign a fate to Jorge Martinez's race as Matt Wood scampers on through. Up. I know I can't get you. I know I couldn't do enough. Matt Wood, that is the best win he's had so far this season. And if there was any intent on his title aspirations, he's just proven that he is still top dog to beat.
Yeah, he is the man this season and a great driver. Martinez did a fantastic effort, but just couldn't quite get it done. Gave up there with a few corners to go. Tried his best and certainly looked after those tyres throughout the race. Great result there from Oliveira, and Welker there finishing in 4th. Got to give it up there to Wallstra, considering he didn't have a front wing, finishing in 5th, and to Foley sitting there in 6th position.
I will correct myself. It wasn't a case of a missed shift. It was a slide coming out of turn number 10, trying to put the power down a little too early. So a mistake from Martinez then costing it. There is Tom Wallstra, 5th place in the end. Every reason to be disappointed with that. Had every chance of picking up the big victory on that one. The likes of Stefan Piotrowski will be the last finisher on the leading lap then, coming to the line on the medium compound as well. This was a very tough day and a very quick pace set by the front 4 drivers in the early stages. Put everybody else in this race in a little bit of jeopardy towards the end of these 47 laps to figure it out. Piotrowski's happy with that finish, 7th place, starting where he finished. So that will be, or finish where he started, I should even say. That is very much a great result there. But let's go to official classified results then. Here from the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. All of this is sorted and in the books, and Matt Wood got it done. And I tell you what, the top 3 all had a 0 incident point race. Matt Wood wins by 1.1 seconds over Jorge Martinez, whose decision to overcut the drivers in front of him was a really, really nice decision. Set as 3rd place for Diego Oliveira. 13 seconds adrift, started on pole position, but really you'd say it was a tough day in the office there for Diogo, who lost those positions early and still had to try and fight them back. Mitchell Welker will take a lot out of a +4 day today to finish in 4th position, ahead of Tom Wallstra, whose damage to the front wing on Kent Nielsen's crash will pretty much rue any chances that Wallstra had of picking up a victory today on an undercut strategy. Kleber Toffoli will finish off in 6th position, with Stefan Piotrowski, the last finisher, the Austrian is, in 7th position. Roberto Sereni will take 8th, 1 lap down, but got the pass done with a lap and a bit to go on Darren Parker in 9th, with Hiroyuki Sekaguchi, your biggest mover in the field, gained 8 places today from 18th on the grid. An important top 10 finish for the number 20 machine. Adam Webb will take 11th place, with Anthony Katz in 12th in the, I would say, England national football team livery that he had on the car, with Yuri Pioggia then in 13th position. I do want to point out that the England car did finish behind the Italian car, or the Italian driver, so call that any omen that you want for tomorrow in the European Championships. John Pat Kelly gets 14th place, with Ray Griffioen in 15th, 3 laps down in the end, and we hit the retirements. Tamas Shane, of course, late on. Reynaldo Augusto we saw in the wall at the 3rd chicane. Klaus Siemens we saw in the wall after the first couple of corners, and then we saw the big dramatic Kent Nielsen crash, and then early on 2 retirements, Brice Simeon and then Bruno Canavas both on the opening lap of the race, running themselves into dramas. But we look towards where we are heading 1 week from now, ladies and gentlemen. We head to the home of British motorsport. Some would say the home of Formula One, being that this was the first ever track to host a Formula One race. Fonzie, it's Silverstone. Oh,
fantastic circuit. One of the best that we'll visit, and yeah, certainly create some great racing. I'm not going to this circuit tomorrow, but I'm actually going in real life to Brand Patch tomorrow to go and check it out before I leave the UK. But yes, the Grand Prix Series heading to the awesome Silverstone circuit, and we're going to see some great racing. Hopefully Martinez turns up next week and takes it again to Wood.
Well, the only person who can see if that happens or not is with us here at SimSpeed TV. If you haven't had the opportunity to already, ladies and gentlemen, you can like, you can share, you can subscribe for more amazing content brought to you by the team here. We have stuff going on every single day of the week, it seems. And on top of that, next week, it is Scops once again. Make sure you keep yourself in an eye out for that. A championship that could not be any more entertaining in terms of this. But in terms of the Grand Prix Series, a massive thanks has to go to the Virtual Racing School, title sponsors of the replays here today, and of course help sponsor a couple things here and there on the iRacing service. Of course, from the team that's got it done here today, Jay Kennedy, Scott Fountain, myself, Jake Sperry, it's been another pleasure to bring you some amazing action. We saw some amazing battles. We saw some great side-by-side work. We saw races that did work suddenly fall apart. We saw some races that we thought were falling apart suddenly roar into life. But ultimately, Matt Wood has proven why he is championship material here today. That was a rugged defense against Jorge Martinez, who just couldn't get into a position where he could launch an offensive against Matt Wood. There's a chance that next week, as we head to the home of British sim racing, that this is going to be something special. But we know that this is all going to be for a really, really strong championship. We'll see you next week at Silverstone, with or without it coming home.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going in the outside, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my God! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go! Oh no!
That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?